on.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so.
Well, actually, radio mics, I mean, typically what they do is they double mic the actor, right? They use a boom and they use a lavalier. And it used to be they would choose one or the other. Typically, the lavaliers didn't sound that good, but if you're like in a distant shot, you can't put the booms in because they'll show up on screen. Nowadays, some dialogue editors have fancy software where they can phase align both the microphone boom and the lavalier, and they can mix those together so that it sounds like one mic, and theoretically you're kind of getting the best of all possible worlds.
I mean, you can make an app for something like that in like 20 minutes. You know, the way it's going now. I mean, all those things. I mean, just today I was working with I had like an app where I try to make a drum machine, but the pattern, the song mode, I added 8 patterns, which I thought was enough to do like bridge, chorus, verse, whatever. But the thing was when I put it in there, I wasn't specific about the code. I didn't put all the coding in it, and it made all the increments. So if you want to say how long does a pattern go, what pattern does it go to next, it mixed all the numbers up, and yeah, it mixed it up, and then it was making the patterns overrun. But it was just a quick look. So I said, hey, well, you know what? Instead of me trying to make a good song mode chain here, let me just make merge pattern. So I just added a merge feature. So every pattern I make, I just add it on instead of program. I mean, but it's like you can do so many workarounds now. I was going to ask you about that, like how do you balance, all the stuff you studied, the technology, the ear you have, with some of the technology that's coming out. Do you think that AI mix masters are as good as, say, how you master now? Like, what's the difference? And then the key question I want to ask you is, what everybody asked you probably, do the Simpsons have some kind of insight into the future?
Right. Yeah, I think we're a long way around from just like the Mixomatic 2000, where you just load everything into a template and have the AI do it. But I do think that AI is certainly being implemented more and more, both for cleaning up dialogue and for things like that. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a part of the process. There's no two ways around it. And in terms of The Simpsons predicting the future, I think when you've got 600, 700 episodes that have multiple A, B, and C plot lines, and some very smart, talented, forward-thinking writers, eventually there's going to be more than one coincidence where they hit some things right on the nose. Not because they're like Nostradamus, but just the odds are even a stop clock is right twice a day. You know what I mean?
The universe is talking.
I know you must get that a lot. I mean, people always, you see all the stuff on YouTube. It's like, but I see what you're saying. It's like the synchronicity. I mean, it could get. I mean, like if you're listening to rhythm, say you're old school escalator, you're going up the escalator, and you hear the rhythm. At some point, you always hear some kind of rhythm, go in sync with something else. And I would imagine it's the same thing with speech, with scenes, with everything. I don't know.
I think there's a human tendency to try to make order out of things where there is no order, so that we can understand the universe. So, like, the human tendency to see faces in where there may not be faces.
Pareidolia.
Two dots and a smile, we see a face, right? And I think that's the same with audio, with noises. I think it was, I don't know if it was Beethoven or Bach, that they asked him where he got his ideas for rhythm. And he said that he listened to the sound of billiard balls knocking against each other in rhythm. And that was where he got his ideas from.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I used to work in television news, one of the things that I always enjoyed doing, and I kind of specialized in, and this was like, pre-MTV, just right at the edge of, when music television was, getting ready to come out. I got to be really good at editing sequences to music, and this was, like the old analog editors, but sometimes when I didn't have time to sit down and really do it, I had a knack where I would just edit stuff together willy-nilly and then lay down an audio track, and 9 times out of 10 it would match.
Wow.
You can actually.
Yeah, it seemed to me it matched, and people who watched it seemed to think it matched. You know?
You can actually. You can do an experiment if you just put music on your CD player and
Yes.
and put your television on without the sound, and watch it for 5 minutes. Eventually, there will be some segment of what you're watching that seems like it's cut in sync to the music. It may not last all 5 minutes, but yeah, there is a natural tendency, probably because we're all human beings. We all have heart rates. We all have, we're breathing at a certain pace that, there is a natural tendency to think of things at a certain speed and volition, both in our music and the way that we, cut together visuals.
It's the same principle. If you've ever done this before, sitting in your car, listening to music, windows are rolled up, and watching people walk up and down the street, you'll notice that there seems to be a natural sync to the music you're listening to and the way people and cars and other things are moving. Or I don't know, maybe I've just been, smoking a little too much.
But what Tim had just said.
That's a deeper dive.
Yeah, what Tim just said is so true, because I've actually done that, and I'll have a passenger in the car with me, and that passenger will say, "That person's in my movie," and they're walking to the music. I'm going, "Oh yeah, I can see the movie." Yeah, that's funny.
It's just the way the universe syncs up,
Yeah, it definitely.
Well, it's the same thing with words. I mean, Lucarelli, when you're editing, can you explain, when you're at home and, say, you tell your son, you say, hey, that, good job, and then as soon as you say good, and then the TV says job, it finishes your statement, or, whatever you're talking. There's too much synchronicity like that. What do you think about those type of instances where the TV, the radio, and I don't mean where people think, oh, they listen to my conversation and they give me suggestive, things based on my conversation. I mean where it happens all the time.
I know the phenomenon.